Hello, Gavin. Welcome to Spotlight Fridays.
Thank you very much, Anna. Good to be here.
It's very nice to have you here. I must admit that I haven't had anyone talking about pre-sale and subscription models before. So a quick shout out to Sean who introduced us. So it's been a great conversation that we had before this chat, and hopefully we'll lay out all the intricacies around those two models because you're the right person to talk about that. For everyone else who joins us live, welcome and thank you for coming back. We're very excited to have you here. And if you just say hi in comments and drop us an emoji or ask us a question whilst we're talking for the next 30 minutes, that would be also great. So let's kick this off. Let's talk a little bit about your business, about Submarine, how it's all started, why you started it, and how would you describe what you do and the problem you're solving for retailers?
Sure. So, Submarine, I would describe as a software platform for online retailers. It lets them build what we describe as sort of custom payment experiences. And the most common models that we sort of see are subscription and pre sale. But it kind of covers a lot of different things where you're having more than a one-time transaction with the customer. So it could be, yes, a repeating model like a subscription. It could be I'm placing my order now, but I'm going to pay for it later when it ships, like a pre-sale. But we also do some other interesting things like being able to place orders on behalf of other customers or crowdfunding models and things like that. But the thing that ties it all together is that customer payment experience. And that Submarine came out of our work as an agency. So we ran an agency for many, many years in the Shopify ecom space. And a lot of the work that we did was with these larger merchants that wanted something a bit more flexible than they could get with out of the off the shelf apps. And we sort of built the first version of Submarine internally as an agency to help us do that for merchants. And that's transitioned into the platform and product it is today.
Amazing. Well, thank you for that. I also approach from the customer point of view. So for me, that was the biggest attraction, those two models, pre-sale and subscription, because, well, subscription is a no-brainer. It helps to acquire and retain customers. I mean, Amazon Prime, let's just not go any further or one pass. So they've just shown us how lucrative it could be and for brands as well, because it's that cash flow and the coming back customer as well, that the whole experience is very attractive. So let's just break it down, the two models. So a pre-sale model for brands that sell before stock lands. So it gives them, again, cash flow, better demand signals, less waste. So sustainability is a big factor in that.
Mhm.
And I see fashion brands use it beautifully when they have limited drops, pre-orders, wait lists, driving bars, again, sustainability. I'm not sure if you've seen across other industries and categories. Can you give us a bit some insights on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've hit a lot of the really key drivers behind pre-sales, and we kind of sort of tend to see these two models. One, which is the launching a brand new product and being able to um, get build up some hype and get orders in before you might be able to ship that product out. So yeah, that's what we kind of call the hype pre-sale model. But a lot of the things you mentioned are really valuable with having a proper pre-order model in place where you can get a sense of what the demand for particular sizes or variants of your product are, and so you can avoid waste because you get a good sense of what people are interested in. But there's also that element of building up some word of mouth or being able to have the hype around selling out of a product in 30 minutes and sort of the buzz that generates. So that's definitely a really strong use case for pre-sales, and that works across all types of merchants, I think. So definitely we see a lot of fashion merchants using the pre-sale model, but we also work a lot with brands that have I guess any brand that has a fan base is a good fit, I think, for the pre-sale model. So whether that's toys, collectibles, gaming, we have, and a lot of the work that we did in the pre-sale space came out of working with Hasbro for many, many years. And, they'd release a new line of Star Wars toys and they'd sell out of those in 30 minutes and things like that. So anything where you can kind of get that fan base and the hype, I think works really well in that model. And then the second type of pre-sale model that we see a fair bit of is more of a back order model, where it is a case of we've run out of stock on this, where we know we need to order it in, but there's sort of 4, 5, 6 week delay between us getting our purchase order in and that stock landing. And so rather than give the customer the experience of, well, sorry, come back in 6 weeks, or well, you can place the order now, but you have to pay for it now and it might come in 6 weeks. Being able to just take that order at the time that the customer is there and wanting to buy it, and handling the payment later when the product lands and ships out, or even just having a better system for communicating where that product is at, and having a slightly different flow for the customers when they're buying something that is on back order. And that's looking in Australia, a really good example of a merchant that we work with that does that is Tony Bianco. So shoe retailer, very often running out of their popular styles, and they're able to capture the orders from customers that wanted, their specific size and their specific style, but that shoe is on a ship somewhere coming across. So yeah, they're kind of the two main pre-sale models that we see.
I love both models because they're both very customer orientated and very customer focused. So they're amazing. And I believe Tony Bianco has been doing it for a very long time.
Yeah, so we've been working with them for, I think I'm going to say 18 months off the top of my head. But yeah, they always had this challenge with how they handled the nuances of their back in stock, and they have, they've got products. They might have, for the one product, they might have one size that is in stock and you can buy it now. They might have one size that is on back order. They know it's coming in, and they have a good idea of when it's going to be available. They might have another style where it's, well, this is out of stock, but we're not sure when we're going to actually place an order in. And then they might have something that's out of stock and we're never going to get that back in. And so there's actually kind of 4 different types of variation on stock and pre-order and things like that. And so we help them coordinate what's the messaging to the customer in those 4 different scenarios. When do we actually take an order from a customer? And when do we just let them sort of say, hey, let me know when this is coming back in stock, and that sort of thing. So yeah, I think, like I say, it is a very customer focused thing, which all pre-sale models, all subscription models for that matter, they need to be thinking about the customer first, and what is this actually doing for the customer? How is it helping them versus how is it helping me as a retailer? And yeah, when it comes to the pre-sale piece, I think it is, making it as easy as possible for a customer to do what they want to do, which is hopefully order this specific product and get it as soon as possible. But being very clear with them about, okay, but this is on back order, or this is on pre-sale, this is when you're going to get it. And that comms piece is something that's really, really important with the pre-sales.
I really like the flow because of how to approach any challenge or any problem. Because sometimes, we get excited about shiny technology and we chasing the tech, as opposed to understanding first what problem it's meant to solve. So I like what you mentioned before in the Tony Bianco example as well, that was the challenge, and then they searched for tech to address the challenge. And it works beautifully every single time because there is no ambiguity, and there is a great purpose because they're solving that problem for the customer. So beautifully said. That's great. Thank you. Let's switch to subscription model. Again, customer facing, customer sign up for convenience, saving, exclusivity. Brands get recurring revenue and deeper engagement and retention. So everyone wins in that scenario when the experience feels very personal and consistent. So, what do you think those biggest misconceptions that retailers have about either of those models, or the biggest mistakes you've seen when they try to implement them? I know it's a very broad question, but you can start from
Y-
anywhere.
Yeah, no, I think, I mean, going back to how we led into this around it being the solving a problem for the customer first. So I think, and I think we saw this a couple of years ago in e-com in general, where a lot of people were adding a subscription component and a subscription model to their e-com business, and perhaps in some cases doing that in a way that was like, oh, it's recurring revenue, this is a massive win for me, and not necessarily thinking about, do customers actually want to subscribe to a t-shirt every month? Like, they're not really thinking through the alignment of the business model and the subscription business model with what their actual core product was and what the value for the customer is. So yeah, I think going in with an attitude of, well, we'll turn on subscription and that'll just be a recurring revenue stream, is probably one of the biggest things that we see merchants falling down on. So it really has to be thinking about, okay, what is the value prop? Why is someone going to actually want to subscribe to my business? And if or to my goods? And if you are, in that example, a t-shirt, a t-shirt brand, then there are, fashion brands that do successful subscription models because they'll have like a surprise mystery box and the product will rotate each month, or they'll have other surprise and delight elements to it, or it's a product that does adapt well to like having, a t-shirt of the month or that sort of thing. If that's your product, then great. But if not, then maybe think about, well, would I be better off doing something like a membership model where it is more like the Amazon Prime, where the subscription component is the membership to the site and you're getting all these other perks and access to exclusive product drops or discounted shipping, or things like that. So yeah, thinking it through, I think, is number one, and actually making sure that it is a value add for the customer. And then the other thing that I think in the subscription space that we see is merchants maybe sort of treating the creation of the subscription as the end of the conversion and the end of that customer journey. Whereas if you are a subscription focused business, that's actually just the start. And really the experience that the customer has is what is all the ongoing experience around subscription. So you've convinced me, I've converted, I've created a subscription, but how are you going to keep me and retain me? And that's thinking through, how easy is it to manage your subscription? How easy is it to pause or skip an order? I'm going on holiday for 3 weeks. Do you let me just block out those 3 weeks well in advance so that I don't feel compelled to pause or cancel the subscription because it just feels like it's too hard? And how do you make that subscription offer ongoing value in terms of, is it cheaper? Is it really easy for me to pick different products and try different things? So I think just as much effort as you would put in as a merchant into the customer journey to sell a product and to get a subscription over the line, you need to be putting an equal amount of work into what's the subscription experience after the fact and ongoing. I think a lot of the time that doesn't happen as well.
Do you know, this is brilliant? I actually haven't thought about it like this, but as you were explaining this, I thought about my coffee subscription
Mhm.
that I probably would have had now for about 4 years. Do you know, I haven't changed it. It just arrives once a month,
Mhm.
freshly grounded. I have the grounded, I had an expiry date on it. And it's absolutely seamless, because when I do need to pause it because I'm not around and I don't drink as much coffee, then it's absolutely seamless. So I just have to log into my dashboard and pause it, or I need to expedite it because I do drink too much, or I have too many people coming over and drinking too much coffee because it's so delicious. Then it's exactly the same. The same experience. So you're absolutely right. I didn't think of it before that, but it's brilliant. And also like your point on alignment. But I don't think people can ask all these questions up front. would you offer it as your service to brainstorm with you before it actually becomes a project?
Yeah, so one of the differences, I think, in terms of how we operate to a lot of the other, the lots of apps, and we work pretty much exclusively in the Shopify ecosystem, but in that ecosystem, there are lots of different providers of subscription apps or pre-sale apps and things like that. But I think one of the things that makes us a bit different is that we are quite consultative and solutions focused. We tend to work with larger merchants or merchants with more complex needs, and a lot of that comes from where we were as an agency. Is they're the sorts of merchants we were working with, and the reason that Submarine exists is because we recognize that everyone has their own unique twist on a business model, and therefore the platform is designed to be really flexible, which is very powerful. But it also means often you need a bit of guidance on how that is best going to work for you and your business. So it's a long way of saying that almost every merchant we work with, we are engaging with directly. We're talking through with them. We tend to work with merchants via an agency who might be doing the design and branding, or maybe they've been working with the merchant for quite some time, and they've done conversion rate optimization, and they do broader e-com strategy, and they will identify, oh, okay, well, our current subscription program doesn't seem to be performing very well compared to what we think it can do. Let's look at using a more flexible subscription solution, and like really concrete use case. I won't mention the brand name, but we're talking with a pet food brand at the moment, and they've got an existing subscription program, but it's pretty straightforward, it's pretty limited, and it's not very tailored to how their brand works or like what their customers want. And so sort of via their partner agency, we're talking to them about, okay, well, this is how we could solve what you see as the 3 biggest problems for your subscribers. These are some other things that we think might be useful based on what we're seeing with other pet food businesses. And this is how you would roll that out with Submarine. And so it's not, as with anything that I think is worthwhile, it's not a click and you're done. It does need to be something that we build and work on together. But I think that's something that we do better than some other solutions in the space, is that we actually have that solutions element.
This is such a good idea, not to look at it in isolation, actually work with other providers, because everyone's got a different angle to it. So it's good to brainstorm about it together.
Yeah, and we're not, even as an agency, we were very focused on the tech and the back end side of it. So we're not designers, we're not front end developers, and so to really build like a world class customer experience that's tailored to how a brand works, you're going to need those folks. And we have an out of the box experience, and that'll work for a number of merchants, but most of the time we are working with people that are tailoring that customer experience end to end, which is where you get the best results.
That's so brilliant. Well done. So perfect segue. What's been the biggest challenge you faced building Submarine, and how did you overcome it?
There's been so many. How to pick just one?
I'm sure you can pick a few.
I think one of the biggest things for us has been the fact that we came from agency to being a platform and a product, and just the process. A couple of things. I guess the process of that transition probably was a much longer and drawn out process than would have been ideal. Part of that is just, I guess, the fact that we were bootstrapping the product from the agency sort of meant that we were still relying on the services revenue as we moved it over into this more product-y space. In the end, we did end up raising a bit of money to help accelerate it a bit. But there was also just the fact that we had merchants that we've been working with for many, many years as an agency. And because we were very specialized in what we did, it was actually really quite hard finding a home for those agency clients. And so that we probably were too nice about supporting those merchants for a longer period of time. And so, I kind of wish that we'd done that a bit faster. And And I think also just the fact that we did that over a long period of time means that some of the things in the products are very, they come from our agency background, and so often we're quite happy to do things on it works out well, I think, for the merchants, because it means we have very high touch. We have that like close connection with them. But sometimes, yes, it would be nice if some things were a bit more sort of self-manageable for the merchants. But that's kind of where we're headed now, anyway. So I think that's kind of been the biggest challenge in the build of Submarine.
But with every challenge, there is a lot of learnings as well. And I'm sure you go through a lot of reiterations and it gets better and better. So
Yeah.
on the flip side, I actually would like to ask you a question. I don't think I've ever asked anyone this question, but it just came to me right now. So, and it's a live session, so I have a liberty to ask questions. But if you had a magic wand, which merchants would you like to work with that need a pre-sale or subscription model? But
Well, we actually have.
wish list?
Yeah, I'm just trying to decide whether I can name names or not. I probably can't. There's
Category, maybe in
category. I think is totally fine. I mean, so we've been doing a lot of work recently in the meal delivery space. So we have a couple of, and these are ones I can name. So we some of the larger brands that we have here in Australia, quite like Farmers Pick. We actually, when we're an agency, we built a lot of the tech behind YouFoods and their subscription model and things like that. And that is a space that is really good for us because there's actually quite a lot of complexity in food and meal delivery that you don't get in something like coffee bean subscription. There are still intricacies in that for sure, but meal delivery has been a big one for us, and I really like that space because there is that kind of that set of unique challenges around creating a consumable product and having like the timeline. I really enjoy cooking and food, and we're actual subscribers as a household to a lot of our customers. So it's like it's a product that I think I understand, and I understand quality when I see it. So I'd really like to be doing more and more in that sort of space, in the consumable and food space. It's an interesting one. We have. I think one of the things I'm really interested in is subscription models that sit a little bit outside the norm, that are a bit more interesting. And a really good example of one that we're talking to a large contact lens retailer in Australia at the moment, and the person that we're talking to there has been in the space for a very long time and has never really seen contact lens subscription work very well, which seems counterintuitive because it seems like it's a product that's really aligned with subscriptions. But when you dig into it, it's actually very, very variable usage. So I'm a contact lens where I'm not sure if you do contacts in addition to your glasses, but
not yet.
Yeah.
A month after this call.
Maybe. But yeah, contact lenses are actually something that people wear at very different rates. And I know personally there will be months where I don't wear them at all, and then there'll be months where I wear them for multiple weeks and things like that. But anyway, the challenge that this e-com manager had historically with like a subscription is like subscription programs that are like you'll get the same thing every 2 weeks. That just really doesn't work with contact lenses, because it is very much I don't need any because I haven't worn them at all, or I need them sooner because I've used them up and things like that. So the foundation of what we have in Submarine is actually a really good thing to build something that's a bit more flexible around that, where it's not a subscription it's a 2-week frequency or it's a 4-week frequency. It's much closer to it's a subscription that is when you need it, and we can get smarter and smarter about when we think particular people are going to need their subscription. So it might start off as a subscription for send me these contact lenses every 4 weeks, and this is what I think I'll need. But as your personal usage changes, we can get more and more intelligent about what this person's frequency is, and also be a bit more proactive about, not put the onus on the customer to skip their next week or do that or think about it, but just be like a reminder that was like, hey, we think you're going to need contact lenses. Do you want them, or do we push it back a week, and make that as seamless as possible? So that's a text and a one-word response rather than an email and go and log into the portal and change your order and that sort of thing. So being a lot more intelligent about how those kind of programs work, I think, is really interesting. So that's one space that I'd be keen to explore more.
This is a very intuitive approach for sure, because you're right. It needs to be personalized because it's very different for everyone.
Yeah.
I'm starting to think, Gavin, that you do like complex problems. And the more complex you are, the more you thrive.
I mean, I think that's where we're a good fit, and that's so my personal background is software engineering, and as an agency, I think we were about the really complex problems that didn't have an easy solution. Otherwise, people wouldn't be looking for an agency to help them with it. And that's always the interesting space. And I think with the merchants that we work with, and again, our focus has been on the Shopify ecosystem, but Shopify has certainly, in the time that we've been working in that ecosystem for 13, 14 years now. So from where we started, where it was a lot of smaller brands, very simple models, I mean, these days Shopify is enterprise grade. It is bringing on more and more enterprise level and more complex merchants. That's where a lot of the interesting stuff is. And how do you take we were involved with the migration for JB Hi-Fi when they came over to Shopify a few years back, and the sorts of challenges you have when you take a retailer of the size of JB Hi-Fi and bring it into a platform like Shopify, where are all the edge cases, where do you have to build versus buy solutions off the shelf and things like that. They're the kind of interesting challenges that we love as an agency, and that we kind of love as a platform as well.
Yeah, Shopify was a huge project. I still remember it. All hands on deck from everyone. Shopify, all the agencies, and everyone in house. We have one question in the audience about the industry segment. So you mentioned footwear, meal deliveries. We mentioned fashion. Is there an industry segment where subscriptions are currently underrated but have a huge potential that you can think of?
I think probably the paid membership side of things. So for fashion is a big one that we see there, where the goods or the product themselves may not necessarily make sense to be shipping on a regular basis, but where there's an opportunity to have an Amazon Prime style membership program, where it is a paid membership, and if it's $99 a year or something like that, what you can give people access to, obviously it's obviously the same as what Costco does, what Amazon Prime does. The fact that you are paying for that membership makes you want to use it, makes you want to come back to that merchant. So I think that's a big one that I don't think as many merchants as could be doing it aren't doing it. So that's probably the big one.
Yeah, I think health supplements as well.
That is another very big market for us as well. I think we see a fair bit of success with the supplements and health products in general, I guess, health and wellness. Again, the flexibility is important there. So if you are rolling that out, then it is a matter of making sure you've got that flexibility. If people are going on holiday, that they can tweak it. If people are changing their dosages, then all that sort of stuff. But we're launching with a new health supplement brand in the next couple of weeks actually, and there's been some fun challenges with them around um, bundling and bundling is a really important part of these supplements. So they've got like a starter kit that has a mix of the different nutritional replacements they have, and then from then on, like being able to mix and match and pick what flavors you like and things like that is important. But it's because you're buying it in a bundle, it's a discounted price, and there's been a few little complexities around that. So that's been fun.
Yeah, I think protein powders could be a huge hit. Like, I don't ever want to run out of protein powder, and I certainly don't want to jump in a car and go and get it. So that's not a thing for me.
Watch this space for a new launch from a new brand in the next couple of weeks on Submarine.
I cannot wait. Please email me. What excites you most about the future of ecom and customer experience over the next 12 to 18 months? Let's just not go further than that because no one really knows.
Who can predict this? Who can predict for the past 12 weeks?
Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously, as with almost everything in tech at the moment, there's a fair bit of AI buzz around. What I'm actually hoping for or looking forward to the next 12 to 18 months is maybe the dust settling on that a little bit. There's so much hype, and in a lot of cases, I think unwarranted hype around what AI can and can't do. That I think it's very noisy, and it's making promises that can't be actually delivered on. But at the same time, it's obscuring some of the like genuinely valuable things that I think will come out of it. So there's just so much spending and money going into it at the moment that whether that's actually going to resolve over the next 12 to 18 months, I'm not sure. But I would actually kind of hope that that dust settles a little bit, and we can focus on the things that are actually delivering value, whether it's for like agencies like us, I was going to say like ourselves, like our former selves, agencies or products, or merchants themselves and things like that. But there's certainly some exciting stuff happening. But sometimes it's hard to tell the difference. So less AI hype is what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, no, you're right. But I do think, to quiet that noise, again, we need to have that discovery conversation and ask ourselves questions like, where are the issues, where are the gaps, and will AI close those gaps and answer those problems, or someone else will. It's just as simple as that. It's not just let's just get AI to solve all the world problems for us and worry about that it will replace humans. But I don't have to tell you, you already know that. But I just also think it's enough of the hype. We just all need to focus on what drives outcomes and how to serve our customers better. But it's been a wonderful conversation, Gavin. I'm so glad that we locked in this time, and I'm sure that it's been very valuable for everyone who joined us live and who will watch this recording. I really appreciate your time. It's been amazing to have you on. For everyone who joined us live, thank you as always. Have a wonderful the rest of the day and a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gavin.